that's the last map.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Do you want me to, that's all I care about.
How's it?
I was just double checking. I don't want site plan approval, I want site plan approval of that particular map.
And
March 31st.
I would say that you add the conditions of our letter dated March 27th, DEC's letter dated April 6th, and the conditions of the zoning board approval.
Yes.
I'm sorry, MRB letter was March 27th. The DEC letter again was.
April 6th.
That's what I thought. The DEC letter basically said they didn't have any issues, but if anything changed, there might be some further permits required. And DEC, MRB.
And the conditions from the ZBA. Approvals of the special use.
Special use permit conditions and site plan dated, you know I was gonna forget something, that's why.
The DEC letter is April 6th. The zoning board appeals was May 18th. Your letter was.
March 27th.
And the map was March 31st. Any discussion? Concerns? So basically, if there is a motion for site plan approval, we're attaching all those conditions, letters, C-Corps, engineer, the site plan map dated March 31st, the state letter for the 6th of April.
So limiting the limits that we put on it here, the number of trucks and everything.
That's in,
all.
that's in the
That's all in
special use
there,
permit.
the conditions
Yes,
you read.
trucks were in there.
Very thorough.
Yep.
Parking's on the site plan
Yeah.
Limit parking trucks.
Right,
No overnight
Yeah.
parking.
Right.
Right.
there. Okay.
It's good.
Dave made a motion, I'd like to second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Comment
Say
is.
yay or something.
Review. This is how site, no.
No,
This
we're
is
done,
how-
Mike.
This is how site
Say
plan
yay.
review, look where we were back in August,
Yeah.
and look where you are now. And that's, site plan, it changes along the way. I mean, it's
Well, I
a
think-
dynamic process.
I think we
from both
talked about
sides.
that the last time, that we really felt that the process worked. You know, we were put through every agency possible, and we're able to gain our approvals and make adjustments accordingly, and with your help and the zoning board's help, and it worked. So I think you guys are gonna be very happy with the project.
You worked well
Thank you.
with us, thanks.
Okay.
Or they changed their minds.
I know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna run.
Oh, we're on.
Gene Peskor, Northwest Corner LLC.
John, you're up. I think everybody knows Gene Peskor, and I think everybody probably remembers John Shields from when he was here with DP Tool not very long ago.
Jennifer, good evening, everybody, thank you. Good timing, I just rolled in.
Hang on.
Hey, James.
How you doing?
Oh, you want the letters?
I do have copies.
Look how efficient
This is June
it
1st,
is.
is how it's all.
This is like having my notes section here.
It's all lands.
We have enough to pass this around.
So John, have you seen this?
I got it, yeah. I sent a response, it really wasn't very, it was just kind of simple responses.
Okay.
Anybody not get it? Get it? Judy?
Actually, this one's got the response.
There's two letters, yeah. The other one was. What's, what's the date on?
You might have seen it, you know.
John, why don't you just give the planning board, just go over the site
bet.
plan
You bet, happy to do that.
before we go to the questions and answers?
Sure thing, I've got just pretty brief notes here. I'll just run down these and then take your questions.
Can you put the map in the center of the table?
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
The only thing that's different is I did add, for the in-town engineer's comments, one of the things they asked about was vehicle circulation. So you can kind of see, I showed how emergency equipment may come into the site through the new parcel and then enter the existing parcel in that way. Other than that, and then I showed the striping. Other than that, it's what you got, what you received a couple of weeks ago. All right. So Jennifer, thank you. I'm John Shields. I'm here with Gene Peskor, who's the owner of the property, and as well the owner of Pioneer Trucks, who leases the property. And the property currently he's located at 1642 West Henrietta Road, which is the corner piece there at 5 and 20 and Route 15, northwest corner, I believe it is. And we're in the GBLI zone. He has an existing operation. He had the opportunity back in the summer, early fall, to purchase an adjacent parcel. He did that. The parcel at that time, when he purchased it, it was approved with a single family home. I think they were doing some commercial operations out of there, maybe in relation to the flea market. Is that true, or is that the other parcel?
No, that was them. They set up their little stuff on the side.
Yeah, so they were residential / other, let's call them.
They basically had a garage sale
Yeah.
during
Petrol garage sale.
Sunday, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that's what he purchased, and with that parcel, the total area that we're talking about here this evening is 2.78 acres, 2.8 acres for all intents and purposes. And back in 2006, 2007, the applicant was in front of your board seeking site plan approval for his business expansion. At that time, what he did then was to purchase the former fire hall to the north. It was to the north of his existing operations. And when he did that, he came to your board for site plan approval, and he also had a kind of a laundry list, if you will, of area variances that he needed from the ZBA. He did go through the process. The ZBA approved a total of 9 variances in that whole kind of concurrent applications. Those were all area variances, not use variances. And they also at that time approved a special use permit for him to operate auto sales and auto repair business out of that at that location. So that was in 06 and really early 07, I think, is when it all kind of came together. From my research into the variances that were granted at that time, what we bring to you this evening would not present any more stringent of conditions, any more, what was the word I used, adverse conditions. In other words, the variances that were granted before, we're not looking for any additional relief to what we got back in 07. The highlights of the site plan, just kind of go over that a little bit. What we're proposing is from kind of I guess it would be the front, we'll call it front portion of the property closest to the road, for about, I think it's 80 to 90 feet back. What the applicant would like to do is to pave that area and utilize that for vehicle display as part of his auto sales operation, and also for customer parking. And that customer parking would be for the sales and the service as well. Back up half a step. When the zoning board of appeals granted the variances, one of the conditions that they placed on the applicant was to operate the sales portion of his business from the front building, let's call it the southernmost building. That was for sales, and then the former fire hall building was to be utilized for auto service. So he's got customers that need to park, either they're dropping a car off, picking it up, or they're even stopping to shop for the auto sales. What he wants to do on this expansion parcel on the front of it is to have, I think it came out to about 25 spaces or so for customers to park and for him to display his vehicles. That's in the front portion. Then we're proposing an 8-foot stockade privacy fence. Behind the privacy fence to the west would be, what we're proposing, with your approval and discussion here this evening, is a hard surface, but more of a crusher run surface, not asphalt, not asphalt pavement, but a crusher run surface. And that area would be utilized more for his internal operations. It's not for customers to drive through, it's more for him and his employees to store cars, whether he's taking them on trade or he just got them in from the auction that haven't been cleaned up yet, but it's vehicle storage behind that screened area. Additional features of the site plan, there's no building construction associated with the expansion parcel. He is proposing a total of 8 light bollards for light posts, and those posts and the lights themselves would be similar, if not identical, to what he's used on the existing site next door. So just to bring that consistency, that lighting met the town code back in '07, and
So these are dark sky compliant?
yes, sir. Downlit, dark sky compliance, cut off shields at the perimeters, where he's adjacent to the right of way or the adjacent property. And then just the last couple of things I'll point out, you'll notice to the far west is a stormwater management area, to your right, as you're pointing. Yes, sir. What that's for, is to mitigate the fact that we are proposing some impervious cover where there currently is lawn, grass, really a lot of it's kind of brush area, but it's not impervious, we admit that, we're adding impervious cover. So to mitigate that, we're proposing that stormwater management area. The engineers asked for some computations on that. I can get those produced and out. And then the final item I'll note is kind of in relation to all of this work he's doing. When Gene and I were walking the site a couple times now, the neighbor, and even on his site, there's a lot of just deadfall, brush, things that have accumulated there. It almost kind of looks like, even though she's got a fence in the rear yard, her property actually goes.
Can you point where you're talking about?
Sure.
Where that brush
You bet.
is?
It's kind of it's largely in the area of the pond, and it's also, so she's got a fence here, and she owns this. So what my client's willing to do, applicant's willing to do, is to, knock on her door and kind of help, I assume her, knock on this owner's door, and while he's cleaning up his area here, he would actually offer to go over and just kind of get some of that dead brush. It seems like maybe she's throws some stuff over the fence, and she's got this yard manicured, and then beyond the fence line, it's a little rougher. So just kind of
But that's her property.
Where exactly
is her property. He would have to get her permission to do so.
Where is the lot line of what Mr. Peskor purchased?
It is this dash line, so it comes back, and it does TL.
Okay, so this is it?
Yeah.
Right. Fat heavy line, and then this dash line. Probably is.
And you have not combined the tax parcels? There are 2 separate parcels at this time.
Is that a no?
That's enough.
Okay.
Well, they are 2 separate parcels.
And,
I guess I missed, could you, just go through, is everything from this point, this is where the fence is, am I correct?
the proposed fence.
Proposed fence, and then everything behind that would be, gravel?
Yeah, crusher run, yeah.
I mean,
and I'm not to split hairs, but
it would be
crusher run,
impervious, not an impervious surface.
not an impervious surface.
So the concern I have is, where does that water drain? Is there a ditch right there at that point?
Currently, it appears to all sheet flow. There's not one location where it concentrates.
Yeah, I
and
know
where
it heads that way, it goes back to, yeah, I
Yep.
just wondered whether it had an outlet, because you build a pond, it's gotta have an outlet.
Yeah, our pond will take
But
this sheet
where is
flow.
it going? Is there a ditch there, or is there
It's
a
going,
swale or something that it's
No,
gonna
there-
outlet
there-
into?
Goes that
it's
way.
gonna, we're proposing, I think it's a 12-foot wide, kind of they call it a level spreader. So we're trying to take this, what admittedly is concentrated flow in a facility and send it out in a sheet flow fashion. So
The only issue is, how does that affect the lot to the north or to the west and the north?
Northwest.
I mean, now you're draining water out of their
Yeah,
property.
northwest.
we are,
And I mean, that's my concern.
Well, so you really can't this has to be built out to where it's gonna stop.
Yeah, but, I
I-
mean, look at the weather we've had.
Well,
You know,
and
it's
it's
gonna
also,
overflow into somebody
well, they
else's
have to do
property.
with the
Well, I mean-
100-year storm situation,
This
and
is a detention, not a retention, correct?
It is a detention, yes.
So it's gonna hold it and then
Release
send it
it.
elsewhere.
at the same rate that it would go before.
Looking
the
at Mike
season.
here, waving over here.
The issue
Wanna come on the what?
the issue comes in that you basically got all this water and everything now heading into that pond, and then it all overflows into the next guy's property, which it might be mine.
Well, and that's
So,
what our,
and it may be a concern, and his.
well, that's what our town engineer is going to
Right, and we gotta, that's what my concern
see
is.
if it's adequate or not.
And how does that change the calculation? So there was a house and a roof and a driveway, the same, literally the same amount of water. I realize that.
Some grass behind it though.
I realize that, but it's still the same amount of water on that property. I'm not going one way or another. I'm
Right,
just
right,
curious. We need a calculation.
That runs
We're sitting here
That's what the
shooting the
Yeah.
bull, and we're not engineers, so.
Oh, we got,
Exactly.
Well,
And
that's Lance's
our-
letter that responds to
Right,
that.
our concern is the drainage, and that's where the
I
engineers,
understand.
That's Mike's
and the
too.
engineers come back and they tell us this
So let's just
works
make
or
a
this
statement
doesn't
and
work.
have them
Exactly.
address it. Yeah, so that's good.
Exactly.
My concern
It's right
also,
there.
Doc, and just remind me, I'm going back to when Marty was doing his
Right.
thing. And someone made it very clear that we are not expanding car sales. Remember, we wouldn't grandfather him in, and he's got lots of cars out back now.
Well, if you remember what happened with that,
We're not
is we wrote a
authorized.
letter to the town board and we thought it triggered site plan review, and the town board said, no. That's what happened to that.
But
We-
he was actually worried about combining those lots, that's.
He didn't want to
H&R
combine
lot,
those lots, but
because
guess
he
what?
knew he couldn't.
And he ended up having to combine, when it went down to the county, those lots were combined.
So we can just expand car sales, let's say, he
No.
could,
That's why he's here for site plan review right now, cause he's expanding and he's disturbing, it's a new land use activity. You're going from a single family, pre-existing non-conforming, and he's expanding, it's a new land use activity for that 2 acres.
No.
That's why Mr. Peskor is here tonight.
that's completely fine, I just wanted to be clear whether we have to discern whether it's for parking, for customer parking,
We
or
are,
for
yeah.
displaying car sales.
Exactly, that's
Okay.
what this is all here for. I'm kinda losing your train of thought,
Didn't seem like we were focused on
focused on,
the exact use of that. I mean,
it's in his letter, I mean, it's,
You mean just in general
it's in his application. Did you read his application?
So Gene, this
It's all
isn't
there.
to really expand your sales, it's more for
It is.
customer parking and
No, it
storage.
is
He did
cars?
say-
sales.
Well,
He's gonna have
That's
to
why I
display,
asked, he did
That's
say
pretty
so.
much, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
right, he's displaying more cars up here.
yeah, the very top of it, I like to display cars. And, it's an extension of my lot. And behind that, we're gonna put a fence and, like you said, crusher run. And we're gonna store vehicles that just come in for detail or whatever, so you wouldn't see any of that. Any vehicles that are waiting for parts would be stored there, customer parking would be there. So all this would be behind a fence. And the only thing you would see really is just, sales.
But these 25 spots that you've got here in the front, are those for customer parking or are those for sales?
They would be sales. Sales. But probably the front would definitely be a display, and I imagine the back part of it would be a mixture.
So there's three rows of parking.
I think you gotta,
Yes,
I think you
we have.
gotta look at it as though it's its own lot. He's not combining it, you gotta look at the code, and what does the code say you can do for sales on that lot? Because there was supposed to be a building, I think, and it had
That's
to
why I
be
asked
paved.
about the lot
Right.
combination.
Right. Well, I'm not sure he understands that if it isn't being combined, that,
Okay.
or if that's on the table, that would drastically change the answer.
Jeff, please share your concerns with the board.
Yeah, well, Malachi and I are coming up with the same thing, and I think it was we're misinterpreting something, because if I remember right, part of the discussion